Hello everyone, hope you all are fine. We were continuing with the P block elements, and previous day we discussed about sulfur dioxide and sulfuric acid, that is in group 16. Next we have group 17 and 18, and group 17 I was just checking in the syllabus. There is a lot of reduction in the syllabus. We have just few general ideas, reaction of chlorine and the structures of interhalogen compounds, the hybridization structure that you have done in class 11, and it's old thing that you have. So today we'll have a little bit of idea of discussion on the group 17. We have group 17 in fluorine, chlorine, bromine, iodine and astatine. The first four elements are considered to be halogens because they have come from the word halos, and gen means producer, that is they are salt producer. From there the word has come, and they are the most electronegative elements. Especially fluorine is the most electronegative element containing group. This is the only group in the periodic table where the four states of matters are observed, like fluorine, chlorine gas at room temperature, bromine is liquid, and iodine is solid at room temperature, and they are the elements which shows the maximum oxidizing property. And these elements, especially fluorine, the bond dissociation energy of F2 is very high, and it shows some anomaly. As the first element of every group show the anomaly, similarly fluorine also does the same. Fluorine, chlorine, bromine, iodine, they act as a strong oxidizing agent, and when they form the hydrides, the hydrohalides, they also shows acidic character, and that a very popular question that was there in class 10 also. Discussion, I think I was there in class 10, I used to take your class, and that time I asked this question, that which is the most acidic among all the hydrohalides, like HF, HCl, HBr, HI. Our expectation always is HF because fluorine being the most electronegative, but actually this is the reverse. On contrary, we can say that HI being the bond dissociation energy of HI being the least because the iodine size is bigger. In that case, the formation of H plus ion is very much easier than that of HBr, HCl or HF, and that's why HI is the strongest acid among all the hydrohalides. Ionization potential or ionization enthalpy for all these halogens, group 17 elements, being very high because they are almost the last element apart from the noble gases in their own period. They are the second last element, so very high ionization potential, very high electron affinity values, which makes their anion much stable, and their anion's atomic radius is more than their parent atom. These are certain general properties. And this fluorine, chlorine, bromine, iodine, these four elements, they forms a numerous number of compounds and showing their own properties. These elements, they also being having a high difference in electronegativity, they can react with themselves as well to form interhalogen compounds. Like fluorine can react with iodine to form IF5. We know the structures, that pentagonal bipyramidal for IF7. Then chlorine can form ClF3, then BrF5. So these elements, they can form interhalogen compounds due to their electronegativity difference among them. And this question comes sometime, that which is more reactive, whether halogens or interhalogen compounds. The answer always will be interhalogen compounds because of their difference in electronegativity. Their bond polarity generates, which makes the molecule more reactive than that of halogens, because they are made up of same atoms, so there is no bond polarity at all. So obviously if you consider about Br2 and BrF3, BrF3 will be a little bit more reactive due to the difference in the electronegativity. There are certain substances which known as pseudo-halogens, like Cn minus, SCn minus, because their total number of electrons are or they are isoelectronic with halogens, and their some properties are also similar, so that also another term. Now we have in the syllabus, actually in the book we have the I think we have the reactions of oxy acids of chlorine, and then fluorine, chlorine, bromine, iodine, but in the reduced or revised syllabus we have reactions of chlorine only, and the preparation of chlorine. Preparation of chlorine, as we have done in the class 10 only, that manganese dioxide. I think in 9 you all have done this one. From class 10's book we used to read that time. We didn't have that 9's board syllabus in that time. So manganese dioxide, when we are treating with concentrated hydrochloric acid, you all have done the practical as well. There is formation of manganese chloride, greenish yellow chlorine gas and water vapor. Now this can be one preparation for chlorine. Also, if we take sodium chloride and concentrated sulfuric acid and then we treat it with MnO2, as we know that sodium chloride when concentrated H2SO4, they react with each other. Their hydrogen chloride gas is forming, which reacts with manganese dioxide to produce chlorine. In this particular reaction, HCl, that is hydrohalide, they act as a strong reducing agent. Now these hydrohalides like HCl, HBr, HI, they react as a strong reducing agent depending on the ease of their bond dissociation energy. More easily the bond dissociation and more less the bond dissociation energy is, more easily the bond breaks, easy of the releasing of the hydrogen, and they will react more stronger reducing agent by forming the chlorine. So as here in the manganese dioxide and HCl reaction, manganese dioxide being a very strong oxidizing agent, the liberation of chlorine from HCl is faster, and in that case HCl is act as quite a good reducing agent. Same happens with HI, but the problems come with HF because the bond dissociation energy is very high. Now if we talk about the other, then we have only these two preparation we have, though we all know that potassium dichromate, potassium permanganate, red lead, then lead dioxide, they also can react with concentrated hydrogen chloride gas or concentrated HCl to form, sorry, not with hydrogen chloride gas, what I am saying, concentrated HCl to form chlorine. Those reaction also we rate, though currently we have only these two reaction, one with NaCl, H2SO4 and MnO2, and another is MnO2 and HCl in syllabus. Reactions, we have reaction of chlorine with three things we have in our syllabus, one with hydrogen sulfide, another with ammonia, and the third one with NaOH. Now chlorine react with H2S to form sulfur and water, sulfur and HCl, where chlorine acts as a strong oxidizing agent, oxidizes H2S to sulfur and itself gets reduced to HCl. It's a very good identification reaction, and also observation is very strong here because we get a yellow color deposit of sulfur from two gases. Say H2S is colorless gas and chlorine greenish yellow gas. So when two gases are reacting, we are getting a solid along with formation of another gas. So like NH3 plus HCl and H4Cl, that was one reaction where we get only one product, that is solid, but here we are getting two products, but the compound, one of them is solid, another remains in the gaseous form. Even reactants are also gaseous. Next we have a reaction with ammonia. This also we read in class 10, that excess ammonia when reacts with chlorine we get NH4Cl and N2, and when excess chlorine reacts with form NCl3 and HCl. These two reactions we had. And the next one that we have, that is chlorine and NaOH reaction. These also we read in the redox chapter, balancing time. I think I used to take your inorganic part in class 11. That time I said that this reaction is very important in your balancing as redox, and as well as in the this chapter, means inorganic chapter of class 12, that chlorine reacts with NaOH in cold dilute condition to form sodium chloride, sodium hypochlorite and water, whereas chlorine with hot concentrated NaOH, it forms sodium chloride, sodium chlorate and water. Difference in one product, NaCl, NaClO and H2O in case of cold dilute NaOH, and NaCl, NaClO3 and H2O in case of hot concentrated NaOH. Previously we had reaction with bromine. Bromine also shows a similar reaction, but fluorine the products are different, and with iodine also the products are different. Iodine's reaction to form HiO3 was very important previously, but those we don't have in our syllabus. Today up to this, the points which I have mentioned, try to read on those points because these are only the parts on which the questions are going to come. See you in the next class with the discussion with the same group and with group 18, and then after finishing that maybe we'll discuss something else from any other part. Till then, take care and bye.